Lots cooking, of course. The big New York story right now is the introduction of Buck Showalter at a very strange press conference that was not televised on SNY for some kind of COVID reason.
What?
Yeah. But in any event, the press conference doesn't mean anything anyway. The last two guys who've won the introductory press conference were two of the worst coaches we've ever had in New York history. In any event, good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
It's so funny, man. I was thinking the exact same thing.
We won the press conference. Yeah, you have 4 wins. Get over yourself.
I think one of the greatest opening press conferences in the history of New York sports, I kid you not, Craig, was Joe Judge. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's my point. It was weird, though. I have to tell you.
Now, with that said, I like Buck.
I'm going to ask Buck about it. He's coming on with us at some point here this hour. So Buck's there with his beautiful wife, and they're wearing Met Blue. I thought that was nice, color coordinated, right? But it was weird that it was kind of awkward because I thought his wife was being held hostage. I thought this was some type of Lebanon-type situation, so I put on Twitter in case she was looking at it, blink twice if you need help. I was like, only the Mets could foobar something like that at SNY.
If you had a press conference upon your return to WFAN.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah.
If I may. If you're the network of the New York Mets and you are a television network, figure out a way to get the introductory press conference of that manager on television. Period. Stop.
Especially when it's on Twitter, YouTube, and Mets.com, so obviously you can see it.
You have a camera on the guy. I recognize he might be at home, but you do have a camera on him. Figure out a way to put that on TV as opposed to a baseball game from 1998.
No, worse than that. A baseball game from 2020, a year that should not exist.
What are we doing? Ugh. In any event, what was your question?
My question to you is this. If you had a press conference upon your return to WFAN, and you were answering all the media's questions,
I did.
A 45-minute press conference.
Yeah.
And your wife said, you know what, Craig, I'm going to sit next to you during the press conference.
Why?
At what point would she say, all right, I've done enough, I'm leaving? After the 10-minute mark, my wife would be like, I'm bored. I'm getting the hell out of here. So I commend her that she sat there for an hour.
Well, I'll find out if she was there against her will or not. I don't know. No, my wife would have been like, you've talked enough. Wants to hear any more from you. Get out of the house. Go somewhere. But if you're a diehard Met fan, listen, that's the guy you guys all wanted. So congratulations. Good luck. I hope Buck delivers what you hope he does, which is a World Series. Let's be honest. This is not about, hey, let's win the division. Hey, the New York Mets are going to have, just a competent manager. It's not about that. This team is now built to win. This is not the youngest baseball team in the world. They went out there and they got Scherzer and they, Marte and Akan and all the guys they got. This is an owner that said, okay, I'm putting my checkbook out on the line, and now I have an expectation. I'm not bringing in an unproven guy who's never managed before, who may have lit up the interview room. I'm bringing in a veteran, 60-plus-year-old manager who has had some success at 3 different stops along the way, and I'm trying to win. And I want to be very clear about that. This isn't one of those, hey, Buck, you got 3 years to get it done.
Right.
This is, and you can't say it's World Series or bust because that in and of itself is unfair. But you absolutely can say
it's close, though.
The postseason is a must.
Yeah, if the Mets miss the postseason, it's a disaster.
It's a terrible disaster.
What's interesting about what you said is when you look at Buck's 4 previous stops, the New York Yankees, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Texas Rangers, and the Baltimore Orioles, all of those jobs, when he took over, he was there to turn around a mess.
Yeah.
The Yankees were terrible before Buck took over, the Stump Merrill Yankees. The Diamondbacks weren't terrible, Craig. They didn't exist. He was the first manager in the history of that franchise. The Texas Rangers, not great. The Baltimore Orioles, not great. This job is so different. This is the most different job he's ever taken from his 4 previous destinations, where he was there to add credibility and to turn around a bad franchise. And even though the Mets weren't good last year, you just laid it out. When you look at the payroll, you look at the talent, you look at the age of a lot of the key guys on this roster, the job Buck Showalter took is far different than the job he took in Baltimore, Texas, Arizona, and the Yankees.
And I think we'll talk to him here, but to me, that's got to be the exciting thing for him because it's not a reclamation project. He
100%.
has the tools to win now. I mean, this is a team that spent more days in first place last year than anyone else in the National League East. We know how it ended up. A lot of reasons for that. No reason to go over it again and again and again.
But he's there with higher expectations,
He's there
to your point.
win.
Like
now, you can't say to a guy, it's win the World Series or you're a failure. To be honest, that's not fair. But you can say to a guy, especially if they wind up extending or expanding the playoffs, we are a postseason team or you have failed.
Oh,
that's fair.
I think that's not even controversial, whether they expand the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
The Mets have to make the playoffs in 2022.
That's it.
Period.
I agree. Much like the Yankees do, too.
Oh,
Separate case.
well,
but you have to make the playoffs.
That's the Yankees every year since 1990. It's really since Buck turned the franchise around. That's been the expectation.
I don't know if Buck's the guy or not, but I can't think of anyone better than Buck to do it. So
Well, you know what Buck
gave
does?
it to Buck Showalter. It's his last chance he's ever going to get to a World Series. Hopefully he's the right guy.
What Buck does is he provides someone who's not learning on the job, and I'm not worried the Mets are going to lose games because of their manager. Now, I'm not a believer that you're going to win a lot of games because of your manager, but there are times, and I think we saw it last year, Craig, where a bad manager can lose you games.
Yeah.
Buck's not that. And so for us as Met fans who've sat there watching Mickey Callaway learn how to put a lineup together and Luis Rojas, who was oblivious to everything around him, Buck's not going to make those mistakes. And I think that's what's exciting about this hire. And I think kind of gives us optimism of, okay, they may have gotten this one right because they brought in a guy who's done this before.
Yeah, at multiple locations. Like, his resume does speak for itself. And, yeah, you can nitpick anyone's resume, and you could ask the questions about, the last couple of years in Baltimore. It's a bad franchise, bad team. And you can ask, is he just a setup guy? There's some guys who do that. They get a team to a certain place. Everyone gets tired of hearing from them. And then all of a sudden they're ready to win. It's the new fresh voice that wins.
But he doesn't have the time to do that here.
No, he does not.
If that's your argument about what happened in the Bronx, which is fair, not that we want to relitigate what happened going into 1996, but that Joe Torre was the perfect guy at the perfect moment, the Mets are not here to be turned around.
Right.
The Mets are here, to your point, to win immediately. And I completely agree, and I think every Met fan should agree. If the Mets are not in the postseason in 2022, the season was a colossal failure.
Yeah, and if I'm Steve Cohen, I'm pissed. But to be fair about that, a pissed-off Steve Cohen seems to be the best Steve Cohen.
Right.
And thank you, Steven Matz, for pissing him off. Because I think the Mets had arguably the greatest offseason they've had in a lot of people's lifetime. So if you didn't see it, you didn't need to see it, because we have Buck coming up here in a little bit before we get through the hour. So a very exciting day for the entire Met fan base. We got some NFL stuff to get to. We will. Because the NFL's got themselves a problem. Last 3 games, primetime games, the 2 games last night, and there were 2 last night, 5 and 8, and then the Sunday night game, the last 3 primetime games combined, they didn't score 60 points in the game. And you saw football that was reminiscent of virtually every Jet and Giant game this season. So I recognized what I saw last night. I recognized what I saw Sunday night, Evan, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I get enough of it with the Jets and Giants. I don't need more of it.
It's such a new world that the Jets and Giants are so bad, we now get pissed off when the Sunday night and the Monday night games are not entertaining enough for us.
And I will say the 9-0 St. Tampa game held my interest, sure.
Yeah.
I'll give you that the last 5 minutes for sure of the Cleveland Raider game last night, because it went down to the wire. It came down to, the last 2 possessions. The Browns scored a touchdown. The Raiders get a kick. Oh, they called timeout. Will he make it again? Good theater for the last couple minutes, yeah. But, dude, I have enough 10-9 games in my own. Give me 35-31, and I'm thrilled. And you have a couple games tonight, and I don't know what I'm going to get tonight, but I'm sick and tired of watching Jet Giant football, and the NFL's got a problem on his hands, because that's all we get now in prime time. Garbage. Really garbage, Evan. That's what it is.
Your criteria is just give me 80 points.
80, that's
70,
right.
80 points. It's like cleavage. You need a lot of cleavage, and you need a lot of points when you watch your football.
Appropriate cleavage.
Appropriate cleavage.
Yes. I need appropriate cleavage. And I don't want any of that little 8-cup push-up bra fake cleavage that fools me, and all of a sudden I'm making out with a chalkboard neither. Where did the cleavage go? I go with the Victoria's Secret. I got a push-up bra. Well, I never would have taken you home if I'd known that. Right, I can make out with myself.
I got to tell you, if you look at the primetime games tonight, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, there's a decent chance you don't get a lot of cleavage for a while.
No, that's what I'm afraid of.
There's a shot we're going to see a
What
lot
is it?
of this.
Philly, Washington tonight. And what's the other game?
The Rams, you may be able to get some offense. Yeah, that one
the
could
Rams
be the
will score
one.
40 tonight, maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
that's the game.
So.
But then on Thursday night, you got San Francisco, Tennessee. Sunday night, you got Washington, Dallas.
Yeah,
Monday night, you got Miami, New Orleans. Hide the kids for that one.
So we'll get it over with you. 877-337-6666. If you're a diehard Met fan and you heard any of the press conference, I don't even know what to ask you. I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't one of those press conferences where you leave going, oh, my God, I wish they played today. I can't wait to see that 63-year-old man dressed up like a baseball player. Yeah, it's not. It just didn't have that feel to it. But maybe it shouldn't. I don't know.
Moments. It had moments where I got fired up.
Well, when he said you'd be surprised at the songs I'm humming in the locker room, because that's what we have. We have a Hummer. There's nothing worse than a Hummer, Evan. You hum here, you're fired.
Excuse me, what was that again?
Yeah, no humming allowed.
No, before that. What'd you say?
I said if you hum here, you're fired.
Before that. I already
Nothing
heard that.
worse than a Hummer.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's apparently a big hummer. I can't have a 63-year-old man humming in my locker room. I say, I'm going to tell him, Buck, no humming. You can't be a hummer these days. I don't want it. I'm totally against hummers. I really am.
Anti-hummer.
Anti-hummer and anti-indoor whistling.
Indoor whistling.
Not allowed on my watch.
Which one's worse between the two, though?
Well, Russians believe that indoor whistling is like a black cat. It brings you bad luck.
Well, we have enough of that as Met
Met
fans.
You can't put your keys on the table if you're Russian because it means you'll lose money.
Interesting.
You can't whistle indoors if you're Russian because it's bad luck.
Are you Russian?
I'm Romanian.
And
I think we think the same thing, though. I think communism built that into us years ago.
You never put keys on your table?
You never put keys on a table, never whistle indoors.
Boy, I put a lot of keys on a table.
And never walk around someone else's house humming.
I've done that before, too.
See? Yeah, you're a hummer.
I'm a bad luck person.
You
No wonder
are
none of
a
my
hummer.
teams have won a championship.
Right.
It's all my fault.